There is a verse in John that is quite similar to what just happened. The Pharisees want to kill him, but they couldn't because he's popular. John 12:19. The Pharisees therefore said amongst themselves, "Perceive you how you prevail nothing? Behold, the world has gone after him." I said I was going to save that for the end, so I will. I'll put that right now. The Pharisees therefore said among themselves, "Perceive you how you prevail nothing? Behold, the world is gone after him." After this, the verses in John immediately go into a story of how there were certain Greeks that came to worship at the feast. They ask Philip, "Will you desire to see Jesus?" Philip tells Andrew and Philip tell Jesus. Jesus speaks, "The hour has come that the Son of Man should be glorified." He gives a speech. A voice from heaven says, "I have glorified it and will glorify it again." The people heard it. They say it thundered. Others said an angel spoke. Jesus says, "This voice came not because of me, but for your sake." It's not really clear when this happens, except for the fact that it immediately follows what is just written. The Pharisees said amongst themselves, "Perceive you how we prevail nothing?" That's chapter 12. Chapter 13 begins. Before the feast of the Passover, it mentions Judas Iscariot betraying him. Jesus knows that his time would come, and he rises from supper, which means the Last Supper is over. John just skips over that entire portion of the Last Supper and the next few days where Jesus is giving like 4 or 5 other parables. The parable of the reluctant sons, the parable of the rebellious servants, the parable of the reluctant dinner guests, questions about taxes, Olivet Discourse, the parable of the talents, separation of the sheep and the goats. He skips over all that, and I think it's just because Matthew, Mark, and Luke all speak very clearly on that and extensively. So because the Gospel of John was written so much later, towards the end of John's life, I guess he just didn't feel the need to repeat all that. So I'm going to have a lot from Matthew, Mark, and Luke without anything from John. But the question is where to put this next event, the rest of chapter 12 of John. That could have happened any one of those days where the Greeks want to see Jesus and he responds, speaking about redemptive death. "Except a corn of wheat fall on the ground and die, it abides alone," foretelling of his death. "Yet a little while is the light with you." It's not clear when it is, except for the fact that it happens right after this verse. The Pharisees perceive you prevail nothing. So because of that, I'm just going to put it right here as if this happened the first day. At least that way, I'm keeping it in line with how John goes, the Gospel of John. I don't really have a reason of putting it anywhere else. So I'm just going to continue with John. "And there were certain Greeks among them that came up to worship at the feast. The same came therefore to Philip, which was of Bethsaida of Galilee, and desired him, saying, 'Sir, we would see Jesus. The hour is come that the Son of Man should be glorified.'" You know, actually, that makes it seem like this should be later, closer to the time that he's about to die. Because he said the hour is come that the Son of Man should be glorified. There's still people around saying, "We have heard that the law that Christ abides forever." That does seem like a pretty good reason to put it later on. Yeah, I'm actually just going to leave that passage from John right where it's stated. Maybe by hour he means time. It's this time, which could mean general. Verily, verily, I say to you, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abides alone. But if it die, it brings forth much fruit. And what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour, but for this cause came I to this hour. That sounds like his prayer just before his arrest. Not my will be done, but yours. If there's any way for this cup to pass from me, Father, save me from this hour. Yeah, that does seem like it should come later. But what happens next is in the presence of everyone. So again, I still think this might stay right here. Then came there a voice from heaven, saying, I have both glorified it, will glorify it again. The people answered him, we have heard out of the law that Christ abides forever. While you have light, believe in the light, that you may be the children of light.